everyone. I'm System Update, your host, and this is.
Um, yeah, Black and White GX still don't have anything yet.
And I won't lie, I don't have many notes, or I think any notes, because we're gonna let GX kind of take the lead in what his idea of aliens and insects and everything, his theories and everything he's learned or read on, and then I guess we'll just kind of go from there. So yeah, you can take it from
Okay, well, I do appreciate you passing me the mic for the day. Um, so back to what we talked about was it like a couple weeks ago, previous podcast. Mainly about how these aliens are kind of like linked to bugs, specifically like insects, not like like things about
there. I won't lie, it's a little.
like books. What did you say?
It is a touch glitchy.
I can barely hear what you just said.
You are a touch glitchy.
Oh, oh, okay, hold on. Okay, so can you guys hear me better?
Yes, can you hear me better?
Yes, much better. Okay, so is that like mainly like insects, mainly kind of like um, if you guys pay attention, they have a lot of resemblance to like alien body structures, specifically like in the eyes, specifically. Like if you look at like a fly's eye or like a butterfly's eye, they have this exact same like physique. And also what some researchers know, I don't know if this is like 100% accurate, but it's also known that some of people that have been abducted by these aliens also have confirmed that they also have some form of exoskeleton as well. And that's kind of makes sense due to the fact that like despite how everything in the animal kingdom these days, bugs are like the only things that like stick around forever, like forever, ever. A nuclear explosion can happen right now, and all life on the planet will be gone, except bugs, which is kind of scary if you think about it. So, getting back to that, getting back on topic though, what I'm getting at with that is kind of like it makes sense to me how they could be some form of insect because um, the way we operate and the way they operate, one, and two, the fact that they can survive so much. And not only that, but also if you also looked, I don't want to say ancient Egypt again, but they do have that there. But this one is specifically for the Mayans. And what the Mayans had, they had like this bug-like creature that they worshipped as well. Obviously, they worship like the sun god and the serpent and all that stuff. But they also have bugs in there as well, specifically beetles. And if you guys pay attention, both a lot of cultures with like the Aztecs and pyramids and all that stuff all had one thing in common though: beetles. And I'm gonna let System kind of like give me like her take on this.
Okay, so I won't lie. I had a somewhat of an idea of another bug as you were talking about. I don't see it in like ancient stuff, but I do remember hearing people talk about like roaches, cockroaches will survive after nuclear um blast or radiation blast or any type of weaponry. So I do that does kind of like, make me think a little bit. I do think it's a bit interesting, especially since roaches are notoriously been known for things like that. Especially, I think there's even they can go about 3 days without a head. So, I mean, that does kind of make you think, and it really does make me wonder.
I mean, yeah, and it's funny you say that because roaches. I could be wrong about this, but I'm gonna have to do my research on this later. But I recall them being like part of like the beetle family, if that makes sense. But um, again, though, back then bugs were way more hostile than they are now. Thank goodness. But it's kind of like it's weird because it seems like everything started with just bugs, if that makes sense. And not only that, but out of all like the alien creatures we've seen, especially the ones in the ocean, they all have some form of bug looking structure. Like don't get it wrong. Like, like yeah, there are sea creatures that are born and only like live through water. But then also you gotta take in the fact that crustaceans exist. Like a crab is basically a bug. Yeah, let that sink in your head next time you eat crab legs anyway. But that's pretty much like what I've gotten so far with it as well though. Again, there's not really too much research gone into it because it kind of just like like stayed stagnant since like 2013, surprisingly. And again, there was a scientist as well, like I told you before, the same guy from Ancient Aliens. He did a lot of research on this, but it seemed like it all kind of just died out soon as like everything on that series and that channel kind of like started going a little slow.
No, I definitely understand what you mean because a lot of the channel, what they post and everything has changed. Um, it's even kind of backtracked a little bit and what they talk about. I'm honestly hoping that they kind of reverse it and start talking about what the stuff that they used to talk about and everything. And I do wonder if they're gonna bring back any other series now that we've gotten kind of like confirmations of all this stuff. And I do wonder if there's gonna be anything more on insects, especially now that we have a lot more, not like proof, but like I guess government confirmation and just in general, just countries being like, hey, yeah, this is a thing. You know what I mean?
I get you 100% on that. And another funny thing, which I'm glad you said that because it kind of like, reminded me of one key aspect. Okay, so there was another, yes, there's two different bug theories when it comes to this, which makes this slightly more difficult when trying to like, figure this out. So another theory when it comes to bugs, that instead of bugs being like, pieces of aliens, there's also been a random theory that I've also came across that kind of had like a crazy obsession with for a couple years. But so yeah, people came up with a theory that bugs are actually not actual like living machines. because due to like it up, like if you look at how get a magnifying glass and look at them closely, some of their limbs are actually like gears and stuff. And some people came to the theory that bugs are like alien technology, advanced alien technology, which me personally, I feel like that's kind of like a weird stretch, but it's possible. But at the same time, I can't really see it.
I definitely kind of agree that it is a stretch. You know what I mean? We also have to remember bugs are also something that's a part of our like ecosystem, things that naturally occur. I will say one thing though, I do know that the size of a bug changes depending on the nature around it. So in the rainforest and stuff like that, their bugs are significantly bigger than the bugs here and like you know what I mean, more I guess suburban or lived in areas where trees are cut down and all that. And I don't remember why they said, but I just know that they're significantly bigger, like huge. And that back in the Jurassic era that they were massive, massive. Like the size of trees massive.
Oh yeah, that is actually 100% true because ironically to those that don't know, but back in like those prehistoric times, everything was a lot larger than what they are now, especially like bugs. Like a bugs would be like the size of like a bed or a couch or sometimes even a whole fucking car, and plants too as well. But yeah, I that's why I kind of like feel like like the bug being machine theory is kind of like far fetched. Like I see it, I can understand why you would come to that conclusion, but again, it just doesn't really make sense. But that's why I kind of like more gravitate towards like the bugs kind of like being some type of like a piece of like aliens that were somehow left behind, or like whatever it may be. I don't have the answer for that, but I'm not gonna lie, when it coming to like that conclusion, it kind of makes me look at bugs kind of differently, if that makes sense, because it's kind of like they not stupid, but they aren't smart, if that makes sense. I don't know. I know I'm probably sounding like I don't know how to make it.
They're what I think what you're trying to say is they're more evolved than we think, but not as evolved as we want them to be. I
Yeah, that.
also think I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if you didn't know, like flies and stuff also have like a spiritual connotation when it comes to like being spied in on and everything. They it said that spiritually flies are people coming in to spy on you in a way. I didn't know if you knew that.
I actually didn't. That is new information to me. But again, like, I don't know, because it's like the way bugs are. I mean, I'm not talking about like the basic ones, because they can be like other ones as well. Like I don't like think of, I don't want to bring like movies into this, but I'm gonna have to do it for like this example. So let's just take like the movie Alien, those xenomorph creatures, and you look at like like an ant. You can kind of see a resemblance right there. And I don't know, because again, we don't know what they look like fully, because they've been known to have like with the sightings, they've been known to have like different ships and different like body types, and it kind of makes it a bit more unnerving, if that makes sense. because at this point, it could be even they could be practically anything at this point. Who's to say that there's not a planet out there with a bunch of plant people? Who's to know that the bug aliens that I'm talking about come from a bug planet? Who knows?
But no, I honestly agree. I was just about to say that part that you just said. Um, because obviously, just like there's different ethnicities, races, everything here, and we mix and match. Imagine, outside of our planet. I'm assuming it's the same thing, unless we're thinking Star Trek rules. Then maybe I'm wrong. But no, there could be a species of aliens that's insect or insect like or something very similar to what we have here. I mean, exoskeletons, they, I think, are evolutionary stuff that happens in certain environments as well, especially certain conditions, especially if they're doing something specific in the ecosystem. So you may not be wrong. I won't lie. I think for me, I think aliens are a bit more aquatic because of how water-based some planets are. But then again, we do have to think about the ones that are mainly rock, and those would probably provide some type of hardcore exoskeleton or something of some sort, or just planets with straight up foliage where you just see hardcore like massive centipede aliens. Could you imagine? I would be upset. I won't lie. If those were the type of aliens that took us over, I'd be so mad.
Centipede aliens would do it for you. Like, no, I'm out. That's all, y'all.
Honestly, yeah, I think that's where I draw the line. Centipede aliens, I don't like the idea. Mm-mm. I think, look, in Fortnite, roly polies are cute. I think the idea of them being small and virtual and non existent, very cute. Very love it. All that is cool. But the idea of an alien version of that probably being the size of the queen in Fortnite, I would be like, nah, it's a hard pass for me. It's a hard pass for me. Major pass.
I can agree with that as well, because, because again, the space is so big that it could be all the above at this point, because we could end up like it could be like a almost like Russian roulette for a bit. Like we can get the odds of us getting like an alien invasion from bug people, plant people, and I know for you the whole centipede bug people taking over, that's a hard pass for you. For me, what will be a hard pass in that scenario would be what's the name of that one movie? I can't remember, but it was like these aliens that had like these giant machines, and they were just like taking people. And only reason why they survived was because the aliens got sick in the end and died. But stuff like I don't know.
Obviously, since we're on the topic of aliens and the different types and everything, especially in our past episodes, we've covered space aliens, the possibility of water aliens, bug aliens. We've covered some of the bases as far as our alien adventure. Not to mention, I feel like a lot of our podcasts have kind of interwebbed with each other. Like when we started with Ken Webster, it did tie in a little bit with aliens, and then I did have an idea for our future topic. I'm assuming after this, maybe some AI suggestion, because there is a chance that there is an artificial intelligence alien species. I mean, I have no doubt that there was a downfall of a planet because of AI. I mean, again, these are all just, fun theories, things that we talk about. There's
Now this.
apparently. Ooh, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Um, the way I see it is it's gonna be kind of funny to describe it this way, but the way I'd say it is imagine like I don't know if everyone here's seen Ben 10, but like basically on Ben 10, like they have different like aliens from like different planets that do different things. That and and that's like the main thing that I see when it comes to that. And that's why I kind of said like the plant people and stuff. So only reason I'm saying that is because like you kind of hit it on the nose because like they had an alien on there that was able to like manifest itself out of artificial intelligence as well, made fully out of nothing but wires and shit. So it's kind of like it's kind of fucking wild though, but like it's I, I you I can't come with the words because it broke my brain.
Honestly, I agree. I think the topic of aliens kind of does break our brains. I mean, it's hard to not sound, I guess, a bit crazy when you talk about these type of topics, and you're kind of, I mean, you do kind of have to reach a little bit for some theories. You know what I mean? Like you even said about certain bug ones, you're like they're reaching a little bit, but it's not impossible. Um, but no, like I said, there's been several species, not only in fictional theaters or fictional theaters, but in fictional media that or artificial. Like I don't know if you guys have seen like Star Trek, Star Wars, all that. They have like beings that are AI and things like that. So I love that all of this stuff intertwines together. We've been having different topics and going into depth on each one. And one thing about this is something that we can keep coming back to, especially since like I don't know if you have been doing any extra or keeping on top of like the current events or everything. Obviously, there was the whole Rapture TikTok thing going on, and because of that, a bunch of alien stuff was coming forward too. Like I stumbled upon a woman on TikTok that claims to be an intergalactic messenger, and that she speaks to aliens and receives messages from aliens, and then she comes onto TikTok and gives us those messages. I don't know if you had stumbled upon some of those. But I have been trying to keep on top of everything. Current event of UFO, USO, anything of the sort.
I have came across a few things actually. However, I didn't really save it, or unfortunately, I don't remember because I've been busy dealing with life. But I do have a random question for you that I think that might be very interesting as well to talk about. Um, if aliens and like were to like come to our planet and kind of like have like start some form of like alliance or some form of like like a truce, how do you think a space government would run? I know this is something like slightly off topic, but I'm kind of curious to know how you think it would go.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so I don't think I would want a fully alien government. I think what I would expect would be like every obviously the planet would govern itself, like how we do now. But just like how we do, you know how we have kind of like those international meetings and everything like that, and we talk about peace treaties and all that. I would assume we would have something similar for outside our planet. Just kind of like a check-in type thing, like y'all are not being pieces of shit, right? We all good? We good? All right, cool. Kind of deal. But obviously I don't know. I really don't know. Obviously that's me being very optimistic. But I generally don't think I have an answer other than that. The only thing I can pray for is something like Star Trek, Star Wars, even. There's always gonna be bad dudes. There's always gonna be bad people, no doubt. But something along those lines where there's a lot more peace. Obviously, not everyone in Star Trek, not everyone in Star Wars are good people. But you know what I mean?
I agree with that statement 100% because I kind of feel like, yeah, we're going to have some bad, like, people, but it's going to be weird. Imagine this. Like, let's say let's say, like, 2 billion years from now, or at the way this rate is going, let's say, like, at least 100. Uh, so everyone knows, like, how addresses goes. Well, by at this point, the address is going to be way more complicated because now you're going to have to get space coordinates and what planet you're from. So and then you have to put what country on the planet you're from and all that. Oh man. But but I'm gonna be honest, and this is a random like small take on me. I don't want anyone to go to Mars. If anyone were to ask me, hey, we're going to Mars, need to go to Mars for like the Earth blows up. No. I don't know why, but me personally, I feel like they're hiding something on Mars. Not even like, us. I feel like there's something on Mars that is not meant to be found is over there.
I don't know. I don't know. Mars doesn't really give me any bad vibes. Again, I've never really thought the idea of like living on another planet for us. It's always been in theory, but now that it's kind of becoming I wouldn't say a little bit more realistic. Like, let me not say that. Um, Now that we've got bajillionaires making it a monetized thing to go into space and kind of making it a commodity. Who knows? We are apparently sending a young lady to Mars to maybe start the um uh, what is it, the first like society on Mars or something like that. I don't remember, but there was a young woman that they had done an article on that she was training herself. She was 19. She was going to go to Mars. And they were making it seem like a forever thing. Like she just was not coming back.
See, here's my thing on Mars. I'm gonna tell you this. After everything they told everyone that they found on Mars, the minerals, he found out that there used to be water, it used to be habitable. You know what I mean? All that. Almost, it was almost like the other Earth at this point. Um, and that kind of got me thinking. And this is something I want other people to ask too. If everyone, put your heads on straight real quick and listen to me real quick. What would happen to have something happen so bad and the entire planet turns into a desert and becomes inhabitable? And if it was habitable, which is 100% confirmed, like it has to be something extremely bad, extremely. And not only that, but the stuff that they still cannot find on there because they can only explore Mars for so much and for so long at this point. And I'm gonna be honest, some form of fictions that I've also seen. Every time they decide to go to Mars, they always get some type of creature, or at the very most worst case scenario. And this is coming from, a Doom fan, and everyone else that's in the chat knows where I'm coming from. Um, scripts to the fucking portal of hell itself. I don't know, but like again, I don't know what could have happened, but it had to be that bad to have a whole planet go to decay like that. That's why I'm saying, no.
I mean, there is a chance that the planet was created like that. Um, Asteroid maybe, just like Seku is saying, but if it were at one point inhabitable, it could have had its own evolution, kind of like how we did with the dinosaurs and the Ice Age, and you know what I mean. And that was its final evolution, or one of its, soon to be final, or however. Or let's say it evolved to another human species such as our own that was living there. We still don't all get along. We still always all fight and be like, well, I'll blow you up with nuclear bombs. Well, no, I'll blow you up with nuclear bombs. Maybe we just bombed ourselves up. The remainings just were like, we'll go to this planet and just act like none of it happened. And we just started over. And then obviously the ones that were living here, maybe the tech died out and obviously de-evolved as generations went on. Kind of as you would say, the Adam and Eve. But I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that could be possible. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, um, where were we again? I completely forgot.
I was saying that my theory about Mars is that maybe we nuclear bombed each other to de-evolution, and the ones that did escape, once they maybe they landed here. You know what I mean? Like kind of like a Superman Last Hope type vibe.
I mean, I get that. It's just that, like, when it comes to like the way Mars looked. Like, let's say this: if it was like an asteroid or something that happened, I could see like everyone killing themselves off and all that stuff. And just a random langy off topic slightly. This whole humans on human stuff that they doing right now with the wars and all that. At this point, we're at the point that a third party is going to come out of nowhere and just start being like, "Look at you, humans, so petty and tiny." Um, better get our shit together before then, or else we're all fucked. But anyway, back on topic. Um, I, I don't know. It could be like a number of things, but to like have like a full-fledged wipeout. Like we talked about this before, like in the beginning. This kind of segues back to that. Like there would have been like some form of like life on the planet if that were to have happened that way. Because like you said, like that, like it could have been like a roach or like a some small being that could have could have like wiped everyone out.
Well, if I remember correctly, the Mars rover had sent some data that took, I think, longer than they expected to receive, or had redone some research it had already sent, and had found living organisms on Mars, like its own small species.
Right. Which that could, I mean, that could be, but again, something about Mars just makes me uncomfortable. Give me that same feeling that, like, when you walk into a haunted house, like everyone's excited about talking about like we're going to Mars and all that stuff until you really sink in the fact that it was a whole planet wide practical fucking genocide over there.
Oh no, absolutely. You know what I mean? When you start to kind of think of it a bit more, it does sound kind of creepy and eerie. To go even more off topic, though, I do have a question for you. I think people have dubbed this the Panama potato because they can't tell if it's fake or real. But in Panama, a man is claiming that a piece of asteroid um, fell from the sky, landed through his ceiling, and essentially been forming a venom-like organism on itself, and it's grown so much that he's had to move the container. People are thinking this is another um short story, much like Signa. If you guys remember the, I think, animatronic artist that was making like a 12-foot killer bunny. But people are trying to figure out if this is a hoax, if this is real. But I definitely wanted to know your thoughts because I do remember you talking about, I don't know if it was the last episode or the episode before, about an asteroid possibly hitting New York with a venom like subspecies on it.
If that's the case, I have two thoughts on it actually. First thought, should have landed here so I can have it. My other response to that is my more realistic response is stay far away from there as possible. Because no, absolutely not. Which kind of like very it kind of bothers me that like when something is like very close to like fictional media and everyone knows like these rules on not to do that, and yet they go out of their way acting like they don't know and like mess with it and tamper with it anyway. Kind of like how Terminator, the way that movie went down. And then like years later, and you can look this up, there's literally a company called Skynet that literally does the exact same thing that the movie does. Literally named after the same company in the movie, doing the same thing. So I'm just over here like, why? But um again, that's my response on it. Like, no, no. Everyone that lives there, near there where it crashed at, pack your things, leave.
So are you essentially dubbing it as you think it's real?
I mean, okay, for me to think it's real fully, I'll have to look into it more. But like I like to be cautious regardless, because I don't want to like I don't want to be like seeing is believing every time. Because again, if I'll have to sit here and wait till like like damn there see it like pop up in my face just to believe it, it's already gonna be too late. So I'm still gonna be cautious regardless.
But yeah, I did just want to get your opinion about that. I will try to send you the videos or the posts of the person posting it. But yeah, I think that's everything I have. Is there anything more you wanted to drop on our stream or on this episode?
Um, Not necessarily fully. But the best thing I can tell you guys is go on Netflix to watch Inside Job. That's all I got.
All right, everyone. This has been Flowerpuff Podcast. Thank you for hanging out with us, chatting with us, and we will see you guys next time.